just got bad news. Rough day at work, a fight with someone close to you, one of those stretches where everything feels like it's sliding sideways. Now you're standing in Target with a cart full of things you didn't come here for. A candle, a throw blanket, shoes you weren't thinking about 20 minutes ago. You swipe your card, and for about 11 minutes on the drive home, you feel better. Then the feeling fades, and you're left with a closet full of evidence that your brain has been running a scam on you. This is not a willpower problem. This is a deeply researched neurological pattern that retailers understand better than you do. And it's been shaping your spending for your entire adult life. Today, we're going to walk through exactly what happens inside your skull when sadness meets your wallet, why credit cards make it worse, and how stores have reverse-engineered your emotions into a business model. In 2004, Jennifer Lerner at Harvard and Deborah Small and George Lowenstein at Carnegie Mellon ran the experiment that cracked this open. They called the effect, "Misery is not miserly." They split participants into groups. One watched a neutral film clip, the other watched a scene from The Champ, chosen specifically to induce sadness. Then, both groups set a price for a sporty insulated water bottle. The sad group was willing to pay roughly 300% more for the exact same item. Not 10%, 300%. Same bottle, same room, same conditions. The only variable was mood. Lerner's team identified what they called myopic misery. When you're sad, your decision-making horizon collapses. You stop weighing future consequences against present feelings. Your attention narrows onto your own emotional state, and your brain hunts for the fastest exit. Buying something new is one of the most accessible exits in modern life. It's immediate. It requires no appointment. It's available 24 hours a day on your phone. Crucially, the sad participants weren't aware their sadness was influencing their spending. They attributed their decisions to product quality or rational value assessment. The emotion operated below conscious awareness. This is what makes sadness particularly dangerous compared to anger. Anger makes people obviously impulsive. Sadness quietly rewires your valuation system without you noticing. You don't feel manipulated. You feel like you found something you wanted. A follow-up study found the effect persisted even when participants were told about the bias beforehand. Knowing about myopic misery didn't inoculate people against it. Here's the mechanism that makes this so powerful: dopamine. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical. It's not. It's the anticipation chemical. Neuroscientists have shown that dopamine spikes in the nucleus accumbens not when you receive a reward, but when you expect one. This is dopamine prediction error. When you're browsing Amazon at 11 p.m. after a terrible day, your brain is flooding with dopamine. Not because a new kitchen gadget will improve your life, but because searching, comparing, adding to cart, and clicking Buy Now generates a steady stream of anticipatory reward. The wanting is the high. The having is almost always a letdown. This is why so many online purchases sit in their packaging for weeks. The dopamine cycle completed at checkout. Wolfram Schultz at Cambridge mapped this system in detail. His work showed dopamine neurons fire not when a reward arrives, but when a reward is better than expected, or when a cue predicts one is coming. Over time, the dopamine response shifts entirely to the cue, the notification sound, the sale ends tonight email, the red clearance tag. The actual product is almost beside the point. Now layer a credit card on top of this. In 2001, Drazen Prelec and Duncan Semester at MIT auctioned real items, tickets to sold-out sporting events, and told some participants they had to pay cash while others could use credit. The credit card group bid 64 to 100% more, nearly double. The reason is what Prelec called the pain of paying. When you hand over cash, your brain registers a loss in real time, a measurable response in the insula, a brain region associated with pain. Cash makes spending feel like what it is, giving something up. Credit cards decouple payment from purchase. You swipe, you tap, the money leaves weeks later in a statement you may not read carefully. Your brain treats the transaction as nearly free. A sad person already willing to pay 300% more now handed a credit card that removes the last friction. The brakes are gone. The accelerator is floored. Let's talk about the endowment effect. In 1990, Kahneman, Knight, and Thaler demonstrated that people value things more once they feel ownership. Give one group a coffee mug and ask how much they'd sell it for. Give another group no mug and ask how much they'd pay. Sellers wanted roughly twice what buyers offered. Same mug. This is why clothing stores have fitting rooms with flattering mirrors, why Apple stores let you pick up every device, why car dealerships insist on test drives. The moment you hold something, your brain encodes it as mine. You're not deciding whether to buy the jacket, you're deciding whether to give up the jacket you're already wearing. Free trials work on the same principle. Netflix, Spotify, gym memberships. After 30 days, canceling feels like having something taken away. Money-back guarantees exploit the same bias from the other direction. Most people never return anything because the endowment effect makes keeping it the default and returning it an active sacrifice. Now anchoring. In 1974, Tversky and Kahneman demonstrated that the first number you encounter disproportionately influences your judgments. They spun a rigged wheel landing on either 10 or 65, then asked what percentage of African countries are in the UN. People who saw 65 guessed dramatically higher. A random, irrelevant number changed their estimates by a wide margin. That $200 price tag on a jacket on sale for $120. The $200 is the anchor. It doesn't matter if anyone ever paid $200. Your brain saw it first, and now $120 feels like a bargain. This is why luxury brands put expensive items at the front, why restaurants put a $65 steak on the menu, to make the $32 chicken feel reasonable. J.C. Penney proved this in 2012 when their CEO eliminated sales and coupons for everyday low prices. Prices were actually lower. Sales dropped 25% in 1 year. Shoppers didn't want low prices. They wanted the feeling of getting a deal. He was fired within 17 months. One more, the IKEA effect. In 2012, Norton, Moshon, and Ariely found that people placed significantly higher value on products they partially assembled, even when those products were objectively lower quality. People who made their own origami valued it 5 times higher than non-builders valued the same creation. Effort changes perception. Your brain values the evidence of your own competence. It's why meal kit companies charge premium prices for ingredients you could buy cheaper. Why Build-A-Bear charges $30 for a stuffed animal that costs $3 to manufacture. These biases don't operate in isolation. They stack. Picture this: bad week, you're sad, brain in acquisition mode. You walk into a store, see a jacket marked from $200 to $120. Anchoring makes it feel like a deal. You try it on. Endowment effect, it's already yours. 30-day return policy quiets the last objection, though you'll never return it. You pay with a credit card, pain of paying muted to zero. Every step was predictable. Every bias was documented before you walked through the door, and none of it required the retailer to lie to you. They just designed the environment to align with how your brain works. So what do? A few things work. First, build a waiting period into every non-essential purchase. The dopamine spike driving the purchase will dissipate within 24 to 48 hours. If you still want it after, it's more likely a genuine need. Second, pay with cash or debit for discretionary spending. It reactivates the pain of paying that credit cards suppress. Third, notice your emotional state before you shop. One question: am I buying this because I want the item or because I want to feel different? If it's the second one, the purchase is a painkiller, not a solution. Fourth, be skeptical of anchors. Ignore the original price. Ask, would I pay this if there were no crossed-out number above it? Your brain isn't broken. It's running software that evolved for a world where acquiring resources was difficult and rewarding. The problem is, you're now in an environment designed by people who understand that software better than you do, and they're using it to move inventory. The first step to spending like you actually want to is understanding the code running underneath your decisions. Now, you have it.